Okay, we've already had a request for Queen of Hearts. Okay, boys and girls, raise your highest card. Who can be the King of Spades? Oh, we're a tie. We're a tie with John. Who's gonna? Oh, it's done. Amy's got the answer. Yes. The ace. You took that. Is that spade? It's the Amy. All right. Your shit took most to jump. Hey, Joan. All right, now, is there, wait a minute, there's supposed to be a, it's in here? It's in here? Oh, new debt. Oh, that's right. Okay, very good. So.
Well, what do you feel that we know?
All right.
What might my winnings be?
Same.
Oh,
Let me go with this one.
all right, tear that baby up. Great, thank you. All right. So next week there will probably be $15 in the pot. Get it? Where's the money? Oh, all right. There you go. And okay, so I believe that brings us to our program. And we have, this is actually an important opportunity because we have, most of the club has signed up as readers for football game. And this is a Rotary training that for volunteers work with children. So it probably will be if you're going to use it.
So I have a question before you get into this. The reading bookmobile, we're not the only adults.
Well, no, but there are, that's a good point. The thing is, I mean, we're right in front of the bookmobile and there's staff.
Okay, so there is somebody manning the bookmobile or whatever.
Yeah.
Driver too, right?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure because
You gotta
I
know.
one of the things is, you got to have two adults. Like even if a child has to go to the restroom.
Well, we'll see. Let it speak for itself. Thank you. Round of applause for Kenyon as our trainer.
First of all, let me announce that this is probably the biggest amount of money we've had in a collection for the Queen of Hearts ever that I recall. $65.
Wow.
Today. That included a $20 contribution from Cheryl. And so Katie Nunez gets fourth of that, $16.
All right. This is the week good. Okay. This training is found on myrotary.org. So for those who are not here, maybe we're recording this, you can always go to myrotary.org, the search button, and just type in youth protection training. And it'll bring you to this link, and you just kind of walk through these sessions. That's all there is. Just take 30 minutes. I know it's difficult to read, it's a little fuzzy. Is there a mic?
Yeah, if you want, it's over there.
Oh, thank you. So I'm gonna
Push it down.
there we go. So I'm gonna kind of go through this as quickly as I can, just reading through this. So first lesson is creating a safe environment. Again, this is designed for anyone who volunteers with young people through Rotary. It's to help us understand our commitment to youth protection, the role we play with it, and how to create a safe environment for all the young people who participate in Rotary events. Our approach is to create a safe environment. All members, their spouses or partners, thank you, and volunteers must protect children and young people from physical, sexual, and psychological abuse. District leaders need to set that expectation in every program, know what behavior is appropriate, inappropriate, address any reports of harassment or abuse, and ensure that everyone involved in Rotary activities with young people complies with our policies and commitment to safeguard them. Cultivating a safe environment. Youth safety isn't something that is achieved at one particular time or one particular way. It's an ongoing process of prevention that begins with awareness, your club or district culture, and leaders who set a proactive and protective tone. So how can we go about creating that safe environment? Be an example. Model the appropriate behavior in all interactions with youth, taking special care not to act in any way that could be misinterpreted as inappropriate. Speak candidly. Don't be hesitant to talk with both young people and adults about abuse or harassment. It's especially important to discuss appropriate boundaries, privacy, and consent. Work in groups. Unsupervised contact could create an unsafe environment or lead to suspicions about the nature of a relationship. Establish clear rules for one-on-one or unsupervised contact to reduce the risk of both inappropriate actions and potential false allegations. Empower young people. State publicly that all inappropriate behavior is unacceptable, needs to be reported immediately, regardless of the circumstances. And emphasize that no one has the right to harm someone else, and make sure that all young people know that they would be believed, would be safe, and would not be retaliated against if they reported an incident. And again, stay committed. Make sure we're doing this each and every time we're in interactions with you. So to help create that safe environment, Rotary International has specific youth protection policies that emphasize the well-being of all young people in Rotary activities. These are outlined in the Rotary Code of Policies. Depending on the activities, different procedures are used to maintain inclusion and safety. Other policies that the district and Rotary International has manage risk and ensure adequate insurance coverage may also apply. So again, we're going to just touch upon each of those different levels that are established in these policies. So the first is it recognizes the district governor's authority. And our district has said this for 7,600. They do have a clear policy for youth protection and training when we're working with youth within our district. They have established a policy. I've asked her to write that in writing to us. I don't have that yet from the district, but as soon as I get it, I will get it emailed out to everybody here in the club. Part of this is they do want us to go through this training to get certified. So this is part of one of our elements that we're doing to ensure that we have been informed and know how to work with you and what our conduct should be and how we should interact. And if a incident should occur or you should feel that a situation responded, then we would know how to talk to them about that situation as well and who to report it to. They do want us to keep thorough records at the district level. Both in terms of our training, as well as any reports of allegations and investigations, as well as individuals who are prohibited from participating in Rotary youth programs. Again, for the district, they need to have a crisis management plan to address emergencies and incidents involving youth. Again, this outlines the protocols, focus on the safety of participants, and provides guidance for managing crises effectively. They do talk about finding and screening eligible volunteers. So working with young people is a privilege, not a right. And only members and volunteers who can demonstrate a commitment to safeguarding them are eligible. All adults in our Rotary youth programs must undergo a thorough screening process. I know we have talked, should we be getting criminal background checks? That was discussed at the district level this year. There's been a backlog at the state police level to process those criminal background checks. So as of now, District 7600 has not required criminal background checks at this point in time. If any club is hosting an event that we feel we should consider that and implement that, we would need to contact the District 7600 and they would help us weigh in on what policy we should be following for that to proceed forward. For training of volunteers, all Rotary members and other volunteers who are involved must learn about youth protection, such as completing this course or attending a seminar if there's one offered about this. So again, that's how we're trying to do this in mass, to get as many of you done today as we can. For those who are not here today, we will send out this link to them and ask them to go through this training on their own. For reporting of youth protection concerns. Again, all suspicions or allegations of abuse or harassment that involve young people must be reported to Rotary International within 72 hours. Failing to do this can result in severe consequences, including the suspension of the district's Rotary Youth Exchange certification or even the termination of its membership. They do have a rule relative to overnight stay. This is not a situation that we've been involved with, although there's a limited amount. I know Bill Strand is assisting with Boy State or Girl State. He may have very familiarity with these sorts of rules, but it's in the program as well. So moving on to our role in safeguarding youth. Again, there are certain roles that we each play in ensuring that we are covering this responsibility. So again, as an individual, we're all agreeing that we will go through this training, comply with all the district, Rotary, and club youth protection policies, and that we will participate in any required learning sessions about youth protection, and that we will respond to inappropriate behavior and report any youth protection concerns. On your board level, for any of our club leaders, that we really have the overall responsibility for managing and coordinating the club's youth activities with support from club committee members. And again, same thing, that we would hold ourselves to the same standard we hold all of our membership to. And that we as board members have gone through this training, and that we have learned to put the key youth protection policies into practice, as well as review them with some frequency. That we would screen club level volunteers to make sure that they are acting and should be involved in any activities that involve youth. Supervise and monitor the Interact clubs or other youth activities that their club sponsors. Prevent anyone who is being investigated for a youth protection concern from volunteering with young people. Prevent anyone with a history of abuse or harassment from joining a club or working with youth. And then terminate any club member who admits to violating Rotary's youth protection policies, is convicted of abusing or harassing a young person, or otherwise known to have done so. And there are roles and responsibilities at the district level. Again, same as each of the members, each of our club board members, they also have the same responsibility at the district level as well. They are also tasked with putting together a crisis management plan to address any risks in your program and be able to respond appropriately in emergency situations, and also ensuring that any reports of abuse that get filed with District 7600 are then reported to both law enforcement and to Rotary International. They also have at the district level a youth protection officer and a team that is appointed to investigate these concerns. It's not something that our club does the investigation on. It is at the district level that we report to, and they will come and do that investigation into any allegations or incidents that are raised for their attention. And also to attain and sustain certification to participate in the Rotary Youth Exchange if the district sends or hosts students. And of course, there's a tremendous responsibility on the district government to oversee all of this program as a whole for District 7600. So that's our policy. What do we do about appropriate? How do we know what appropriate and inappropriate behavior is between adults and youth? Ensure that we have some clear limits that help prevent misunderstandings and protect young people from potential harm, foster a culture of respect and accountability, and protect volunteers from false accusations. Sorry. People who intend to do harm often test or violate boundaries. When this behavior isn't addressed, it can escalate. Abusers seek easy access to young people, especially in organizations that aren't committed to youth protection or aren't vigilant. Abuse occurs not only because of predators, but also because of unsafe environments. Abusers are not singular to one age, status, or gender. It could be any one of us in this room might be under that classification, I'm sorry to say. They can be authority figures or people you know well who use their status to manipulate others and protect themselves. Part of this is we all think we know what a standard of normal conduct should be. If you think it might not be quite normal in your mindset of perception, discuss that with the board leadership. Let us know of the incident to at least look into it a little bit and see if we should bring in the team to investigate this further. So yes, to some extent, it's actually use your common sense of judging what is normal conduct and behavior with the youth. But it's also, if anything, if it's spidey sense tingles for you that this doesn't smell right, look right, appear right, talk to somebody about that. Anyone on your board leadership can assist with this. Moving on to an adult privately messages a young person on social media. You think that it's appropriate or not?
No.
So these are trying to give us some examples of things that maybe you're unclear. If you start to think, I'm not certain, then err on the side of caution. Say no and find a different way. So one of them be, if you feel you need to reach out to one member of Interact, reach out to all members of Interact. So there's a uniform message to everyone involved and include other leadership, whether that is the teacher sponsor for Interact, as well as other board members that are assisting with Interact. Or the bookmobile project, you're out doing reading in the community, things of that nature. Someone offers a handshake. That may be just a normal thing that you do in greeting, but again, sometimes the way people do handshakes may not be the most conducive. So a handshake is simply palm to palm, you shake, you let go. I've known people that will bring their arm all the way up and press the whole side of my arm to communicate their handshake to me. That's a little much in my mindset. I would say no to that. And as a youth, as a 15-year-old, how do you think they would respond to that? It's a no. So you don't necessarily have to do handshakes. And I think we all have a great, I won't say excuse, but now rationale in the era we've come out of COVID. Fist bumps is more popular, where you really don't even interact with that sort of person-to-person contact. Someone hugs another person from the side using one arm. That can be considered as inappropriate behavior. Any sort of that kind of contact where it's, I'm not trying to pick on people who have hugged me, but yeah, sometimes the side hug. I'm so sorry. Sometimes I've had some people caress the side of my breast. That's inappropriate. And I'm an adult and that's occurring to me. And you can only imagine if that happens to a child. And it may not have been intentional, but part of it is the child may be sitting lower. They may be shorter than you are. So where your hand naturally rests may occur that way. Those are things you need to be thinking about when you're working with youth about any sort of contact that you may think to engage in, and you're trying to make it be very harmless. You're just trying to show appreciation for the work that they did. Maybe it's through your words, you do that better than any physical contact. Messages are sent to a group. Again, I think that is the best way, but it's ensuring it is a clear message. It is stating exactly what you're trying to communicate to them without any sort of hidden messages in there. So part of it is, if you're trying to organize Rotary cleanup for trash pickup, and the message is we're gathering at 9 a.m. at the custom parks parking lot on Saturday. That's a clear message. But if you then start to throw something in, and how about afterwards, I take you to lunch? Maybe that is not quite the intention we're trying to achieve here, and a 15, 16, or 17-year-old may not understand how to answer or respond to that. It may put them in an uncomfortable situation, how to handle that. So those are the things that you need to be aware about in your interactions with any youth that we are engaged with. Someone comments on another person's clothing. I'm going to stop there and let you even think of that of yourself. So again, it may be as simple as saying, I like your sneakers. That may be easy, but if you start to get, boy, don't you look cute in that little skirt today? That may not be appropriate when, I'm going to pick on Dave for a minute, he says that to a 15-year-old girl. She may not know how to handle that sort of comment coming at her from an adult. And not clear what to do with that, and it makes them uncomfortable. So those are the things just to think about in our interactions with the youth that are part of our programs. Moving on to recognizing signs of potential abuse. So abuse and harassment can take many forms, including sexual, physical, or psychological. Understanding the term sexual abuse and sexual harassment is the first step in recognizing and addressing these issues. So for definitions of sexual abuse, it's defined as engaging in or arranging implicit or explicit sexual acts performed alone or with another person of any age or gender through force or coercion or with anyone who cannot consent. And sexual harassment can be defined as sexual advances, requests for sexual acts, or verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature that is unwanted or directed at someone who is unwilling or unable to consent. So knowing those things, some of the things that is prevalent in a climate where some sexual predators or people who may abuse these privileges would approach a youth is known as grooming. I think we've all heard that along our adult lives ourselves. Grooming includes actions that can subtly prepare a person to be harassed or abused. Abusers use these actions to gain trust and convince a young person that they care about them. Over time, they build affection and dependence, leading the young person to believe that they are participating in the inappropriate behavior willingly. Abusers manipulate young people into inappropriate behavior to establish control over them, build an emotional connection, and discourage them from telling anyone. Again, some of these examples: seeking time alone with someone, arranging to go visit them at their house or meet them somewhere outside just for I'll buy you an ice cream, something of that nature. Separating them from their family or friends, trying to isolate them from the people that they normally have in their life. Offering special treatment, such as showing favoritism or giving extra attention or rewarding certain behaviors, or giving them gifts. Keeping secrets, asking that young person to lie or keep a secret of your communication. Don't ever think it's okay for you to tell a young person, oh, I'm going to call you. Just don't tell your mother I called you. Don't do that. That's just wrong. Touching, making repeated physical contact that could gradually become inappropriate. Desensitizing someone to improper behavior, meaning normalizing or criminalizing inappropriate actions as culturally acceptable, common, or insignificant. And then lastly, forcing consent, invading a young person's right to reject the behavior that makes them uncomfortable. So a lot of this is really trying to make yourself aware. Is any of this occurring that you're just not aware that this is occurring in your own conduct, your own vocabulary, and how you interact with people? So all we're asking you is really take this into heart and really think about this. So several examples that they have described, and they do say that these are appropriate behavior. So Jenna speaks to a Rotary Youth Exchange student who is nervous about giving a speech in a Rotary Club. Jenna gives him a brief pat on the shoulder for reassurance. That would be deemed appropriate. So if somebody should find that, well, I don't know, we're going to file a complaint or investigation. Under the policies, District 7600 will investigate, but they would deem that okay conduct. That was not met with any intent of sexual conduct or behavior associated with it. It was meant just to give a reassuring pat. Some other examples that they provide us. Rajesh is talking with an interactor and learns that they both enjoy the same genre of movies. Rajesh asks the interactor if he wants to go into a quieter room to continue their conversation privately. So again, I'm not saying because this room gets really noisy, and maybe you are having a conversation, but I probably would say that may not be the best. Maybe I'd pull another adult in with me or another child in, just so there's more than one person in that room versus a one-to-one of adult to child in that room. So they give us a couple of examples for us to test what we think are appropriate or inappropriate. They've asked us to recognize the signs of potential abuse. And they include everything from physical changes to that person, to that child, anxiety, depression, or withdrawal, changes in eating habits or body image, delinquency or age inappropriate behavior, aggression. Sometimes young people may not show any signs of abuse and harassment, so it's important to talk openly and often about our commitment to keeping them safe. Doing so may encourage them to report abuse, harassment, or any inappropriate behavior that makes them uncomfortable. Some of the barriers to why children may not report abuse: shame, guilt, or embarrassment, fear of negative consequences, especially if they feel they've broken a rule or law, fear of retaliation from the person accused of abuse, worry that someone they care about will be in trouble, uncertainty about what resources or support they might have, worry that they'll be kicked out of what we're doing, fear that they won't be believed, especially if the accused abuser has a position of authority or is well respected. A belief that they somehow consented to the interaction and didn't experience abuse. So again, part of this is really testing your own knowledge and whether you think that's appropriate or inappropriate. And I think we all understand this at this point. If you feel there's some concern with this, then try no. The answer is no. Rethink how you're going to approach and deal with the youth that we may be involved with in our programs. So receiving and reporting a youth protection concern. So it can be done by email through youthprotection@rotary.org. We can call the 866 number they provided to us. We can contact through District 7600. They have a youth protection officer. It's Ragavan. Can't think of his last name. He's a great guy. I will get that information, circulate that so that we're all aware of him. He is the new youth protection officer for the district. So again, what do we need to do to report such a concern? We need to reassure the person making a report. We need to gather information about the particulars of what is being alleged as to what were the facts, what might have happened, who was involved, what exactly might have been said or done that gives us appearance. Take as much information as you can from the child or the youth that is letting us know about this. They do say avoid questions about why it happened, because that approach can make a person feel ashamed or blamed for what happened. And sometimes they may not remember right at the time you ask them. It may take several approaches to them before their full memory will come back as to the event or incident, because it scarred them, it traumatized them in some way. And then also ensuring the young person's safety as we are gaining this information as this potential abuse may have occurred. Part of this is ensuring that we made the appropriate steps to remove them from contact with the other person, ensure that they're in a safe environment, provide professional support for them, and monitoring them for signs of physical or emotional distress. So again, all of this is part of what we would do, whether board members or at the District 7600 level, to ensure that we are assisting in ensuring that young person's safety. Part of this is, if it's such a level, report it to the police. I know that may not be our first inclination. We may think this is innocent. We don't wish to do that. But that's why we have law enforcement who've been trained in this sort of element of detection and understanding, really understanding what the signs are or things they should be looking at for this. So they actually do ask us to cooperate and report things to the police if we feel there have been claims of abuse or harassment. And of course, need to inform our district leaders. And then finally, a follow-up. Make sure that we have submitted all the necessary reports and information to the district, who then in turn will communicate to Rotary International on our behalf. So at this point, hopefully we have at least a firm understanding of what we're trying to look for, ensure we create an environment to work with youth, and that we are also centric to what we should be looking for in case a youth has had some experience, as showing signs that there has been abuse or something of that nature. Whether that be from a fellow Rotarian who did that, or somebody in their personal lives who did this to them, and they're coming to us and we just happen to observe it after the fact. Those are the things that they want us to be cognizant of and ensure that we are letting them know that Rotary is a place to seek help. It's a safe space for them. And this gives us all of our resources about what we can do to help them. So within the My Rotary website on Rotary.org, there are several handbooks and manuals to go through that have more information about this. So if you're interested in learning more, I encourage you to go look at these resources. Any questions?
Everything is clear to me as far as one-on-one or a group of children or whatever. The one thing that I'll ask advice, if you have two kids that are going at it, either arguing with each other, name calling, or even a physical altercation between them. Seems to me, if I step in between there, one of the kids is gonna get really mad about it and actually want to report me for, just allowing them to be abused or whatever. I'm thinking if there's another adult there, try to solicit the help of the other adult and separate one adult, one child, one adult, one child. But what's the best way to handle a child-to-child type situation?
Sure. I'll talk about a couple of issues that I know of. Like, for example, we do the trash pickup, we do involve Interact students to participate with us. I know we do the assignments out for each leg of cleaning up 184. We typically will put 2 students with 2 adults. There's always 2 adults in the Rotary Club. Sometimes I think we're throwing 4 kids in at a time, but we still have the 2 adults. So that's one of the things that I know we're doing with the trash pickup. We've always ensured we have 2 adults assigned when that occurs. I think the bookmobile where we're starting to move into unknown territory for what our policy should be. And I would press upon that as we start to look at rolling the bookmobile out into the community and staffing it from a reading perspective. What is our obligation to ensure that we have at least 2 adults for every time we're doing this? And depending upon what we think are the number of students or kids that will show up to get on the bookmobile, to be part of the reading section, where you have that sorts of conflict that come out. Fight for home kids happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we need to talk about that with the school system as well, because you're going to have the school bus driver that's going to be present. I don't know what their training has been done for that. And I don't know if there are other school personnel, or if that really is just falling back now just on Rotary volunteers, for the only other adults in that environment. So I can't say I've got a clean answer for you, Chuck, but I'm throwing it over to Jim. I forgot, was Joe helping some of the organization? I can't remember who else was involved in helping set up the reading section. Well, I think these are the conversations that we still need to have with the school system to make sure we know how we should be handling these sorts of incidents, because they will occur.
Yeah.
And it's different from thinking this is a 15 or 16-year-old down to now I got a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. And you're right, sometimes it's as simple as a kid with a 5-year-old, they were here at this reading session. Someone put their hand on them because they got into a fight over a book with another kid. And maybe your natural reaction is just to grab them by the shoulder and kind of pull one away. And they may go home and tell mommy, you touched me, mom.
Yeah. Right.
And trying to ensure that we have enough adults in the room to be visual observants to all of these activities as well is important.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else have questions?
Well, it's not so much use the children, as they haven't had to just, they enjoy the books, they want to come up and get the dark.
Yeah.
So it's just the reason why.
Right, and that's really important because that happens a lot, when especially a kid is appreciative of something, or he may have unburdened something and you gave him something to smile about. Because sometimes kids will show up at these events and they're not in the best headspace. They've had a bad day, a bad morning with whoever was taking care of them. And coming there and they may have seen an act of kindness from you has generated a reaction of happiness, of joy. And they want to thank you for that. And try to figure out how they can communicate that in a way that is appropriate and not deemed as for sexual interaction or conduct that from a grandparent, you may say, you hugged my kid. You had no right to hug my kid. So, yeah, some of these are really tricky to maneuver our way through, but ensuring that we have enough adults present to ensure that anybody feels safe interacting with us in a manner that doesn't put it into a sexual context is very important for us. So, okay, I'm done.
That was good. And I don't know about you all, but held my interest the whole time. I'm still awake. So thank you. Thank you. All right, is there anything else for the order before we do our four-way test? All right, would you all please rise? Please, say your two first. Third. Fourth. And fifth, someone. Have fun. There you go. Thank you. Have a good week.
Take yours up now.
Yeah.
I'll be trying to get a make.